Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Yassine, and this right here is the Huawei Honor View 20, and I just wanted to share my initial impressions with you guys. But before I do that, I want to tell you about a crazy story that involves this particular smartphone. So this one's right here is from Hong Kong, and I bought it on eBay, and I paid around $610. And to my surprise, it came here within 2 days. So I was thrilled, opened it up, tried to set it up, but it was in a different language. It wasn't in English. So I had to go through the menus to try to find it to put it in English. And that was a little hard to do because you don't really know what you're clicking on, but eventually I figured it out, put it in English, and then I tried to go in there and set up my regular accounts, like put in my Gmail, go to the Play Store, start downloading apps. But I realized there were no Google apps. None of the Google apps were in the phone. So I ended up contacting the seller on eBay and asking them what's going on. They sent me a link for a Google Drive account with a password where I can download all the Google apps. And I went ahead and did that. And then once I did that, I was able to get Google Play and just all the other Google accounts and sign in with my information. And then I started downloading all my apps. And the first thing that I started with is Nova Launcher because I didn't really like the launcher that's on this particular phone. I believe it's called the Magic UI launcher. So it was a little weird getting used to it. So I decided to just drop Nova Launcher on it. I got a bunch of backups of Nova Launcher from other phones that I used, so I would just throw that in there. But to my surprise, once again, it wouldn't let me use Nova Launcher as the stock launcher. When you go into the settings and you go to the default app section and you try to set it up as a default launcher, it just tells you that only authorized third-party launchers by Huawei are accepted, and apparently Nova Launcher is not an authorized third-party launcher, so now I'm stuck with this launcher. And I honestly gave it a full shot, tried to use it for a couple of days, and it's not Android, well, according to me. Like, you got a grid of icons like iOS, there's no app drawer, and I'm like, if I really want that, then I would have just got an iPhone. And there is a feed like the Google Home feed, but it's in a different language, so I don't really understand what's in that feed, and I don't know how to change it because whenever I try to go into the settings to change the language or what it pulls up on the feed, it tells me to log in with a Huawei ID, and I don't want to create a Huawei ID just for one phone. So I just won't be able to use this phone as my daily driver, which means I won't be able to test out things like battery life. But I could still test out everything else, and I do plan to do a full review on this phone after I've played around with it for about a week. So if that's what you're interested in, then definitely subscribe to the channel down below. But today in my initial impressions, I want to talk about the display because it's got that punch hole camera, and this is the first phone with a punch hole camera that I got to use. So initially when you take a look at it, you'll notice it's right there on the home screen. When you're swiping left and right, it's right there. And I do wish that it was in the middle. Like, that's my first gripe with it. The reason I say that is because, one, it would be symmetrical and I wouldn't feel like I'm leaning left or left-sided, for one. The second reason is because when you think about it, not a lot of notifications are in the middle of the phone. Mostly you got your notifications on the left-hand side, and then you got your clock and your connections and like your data connections and all that on the right-hand side. So nothing really stays in the middle, and I think that would have been great rather than bumping the notifications a little bit to the right and creating this weird thing that's happening in the top corner of your phone. And also, when you pull down the notification, by then you're not worried about cutting any of the information out because the information already shifted halfway down on the display. So I think ideally it would have been perfect if it was right in the middle, but this is the side they decided to go with, and I just feel like it's a little off and it's weird. Now, the second thing that I noticed when using the display and the punch hole camera is the way apps interact with it. I think right now apps are not fully optimized because all the apps that I use, like Instagram and Twitter and social media stuff, they don't really go around the camera or the punch out camera. They just act like the whole top of the phone is the notification bar, so it just goes into under that. But then when you open up apps like the Google Now feed, then you can see that the actual context of on the display as you swipe starts going under, or it looks like it's going under the punch hole cutout. So that's pretty cool, and that's honestly kind of satisfying a little when you're scrolling up slowly and you see all that content just going under it and then popping out the other side. So I really do like that, and that was an awesome experience using that. And that also works when you're pulling down the notification tray and you can see the information slowly going under it and popping out the other side. So I didn't mind in those instances, and I wish all the apps were optimized to start acting that way around the punch out camera. I know as more and more phones start getting this style, then more apps will be optimized for that. But right now, most of the apps that you use, it just acts like the whole top bar is the notification tray, and then everything just doesn't even hit that top part. And then the last thing I do want to talk about is when you're consuming media, because this is a big screen, so consuming media is really nice. So when you have the phone in landscape mode and you are watching YouTube videos, then you don't really notice the punch out whole camera on the bottom left corner, because most of the time when you are watching videos, then you are looking right somewhere in the middle area of the display, a little to the left, maybe a little to the right, but you don't really look at the corners. And most of the time when you're watching YouTube videos, something dark or something that is not, you're not supposed to be paying attention to is usually in the corner. Like for instance, in this video, it would be like somewhere here or somewhere in here, and you're not really looking over here or what's going on in the background over there. So you don't really notice it, and it doesn't really get in the way, other than a notch, where on a notch, it would have been like somewhere over here, a little bit higher, or I don't know which side it is, but it would have been more visible, where just a little dot, it disappears like it's part of the background. So in that instance, that's what I found. And honestly, after a couple of days of just playing around with it, trying to set it up and watch some videos, it just hasn't bothered me. So those were my initial impressions. I do like the little pattern that's on the back of this phone, and I do plan to do a full test on the camera, compare it to my Pixel 3. Also, just more in depth and more details about the display and the phone in itself and the way it handles everything. If there's somebody out there that can help me out with the whole trying to put a launcher on this phone, then let me know down below in the description. But anyway, those were my initial impressions. I really do like this display. I don't think that the little punch hole camera bothers me, although I do wish it was right in the middle. I think it makes more sense in the middle. But anyway, those are my initial impressions. I hope you guys liked the video. If you guys have any questions about anything that I talked about this phone, or anything that you guys want me to pay attention to while I'm doing my review, then let me know down below in the description. If it's your first time here, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, stay plugged.